Thank you very much. Wonderful to have Dr. Premachandra Sagar here at the India Today AI Summit. He's a politician who's also an entrepreneur, runs a chain of colleges and hospitals in and around Karnataka. But what struck me when I spoke to you, and which is why I believe it's important to have your voice here, is that you are on your way to creating India's first factory AI campus, AI factory campus. Now tell us what this AI factory campus is all about, because academia is one of the areas, education is one of the areas where AI is expected to make the next big leap.
Thank you, Rajdeep, for having me here. Well, we understand that the world and India is at the cusp of a major disruption. Now, essentially, whenever disruptive phases come, it's an opportunity that a nation can leapfrog ahead. So what we found across, in this, era of disruption, there's something that an ecosystem needs to be developed. So for an ecosystem to be developed, as they say, the 5-layer cake, which is commonly said in today's AI world, you have to build that. So what we did at Dayananda Sagar institutions, at Dayananda Sagar University, is to build an AI-first university. So essentially was to build the multi-layer. The first part of the multi-layer was to create self-sufficiency in energy. So we've gone completely on a net zero campus where we are generating the power to fuel the entire campus internally. We are a 150-acre campus, so we've been able to create the raw energy that is needed. And the next part of it was to build what we call as the AI raw compute power. So we've tied up with one of the global majors where we are building in one of the largest raw compute powers in the global south. When I say it is the largest raw compute powers, it would be about 160 GPUs of what we call as the current new generation. I can't speak much about it, but the raw compute power would be probably one of the infrastructure layers. This would go across on ultimately to create platforms. Now the platforms would be apart from the software stack that they would have as the layer in between, but a stack which can talk to other kinds of software. Because what we see across this disruption can create havoc if we are not well prepared. But if we are able to take advantage and build that ecosystem around us, we are going to bring in, probably we will be able to empower our young graduates who will go across to rule the world. So the stack that would go across is essentially, we're not worried about generative AI. Because AI in abundance is going to come in. As machines become more sentient and they are able to go across as the ability of the chips to process more information, I think it goes down into the next level. And we are seeing agentic AI. And we've seen one aspect of agentic AI which replaces a lot of tasks. Now, I'm not worried about the agentic AI too, because probably it's going to bring in efficiency and probably bring up speed of work. But what I'm worried across is what happens when agentic AI becomes a little more sentient and then it gets on into the physical AI part. So how do we integrate this in the mindset of young people? And this is an opportunity for us. While of course we have lagged in terms of getting down into the robotic part of AI, right? But let's assume that we are able to quickly take advantage of the opportunities that will come in. So you move on into the robotic part, or the physical AI part, which can probably prepare us to handle the problems of tomorrow.
Let me break that down, because you run an institute with more than 40,000 students. They come from different backgrounds. How do you make sure that all those students on your campus are AI skilled? Is that simply in creating an ecosystem that puts AI first? Is that your advice to other campuses which are looking at AI now as a tool for the future, that every student, as he or she walks into your campus, will almost instantly be drawn into this AI ecosystem? What happens to the old order, if I may call it that?
Well, the first important thing is, you'll have to build a dream, right? A dream is you create an ecosystem where you actually start creating a dream. And once you start believing in a dream, then you know how to build it further. And that's the whole aspect is you got to understand and realize that AI is going to dominate your life ahead. So how do you prepare yourself to go into the journey and probably ride over AI? I mean, as you said, I was listening earlier, the issue that comes across over there, would you allow AI to take over you, or you would want to ride over AI? Now imagine the human mind is an extremely complex mind, which has evolved over millions or a long period of time. I mean, as far as the Homo sapiens is there, we are 40,000 years old, right? And we've evolved. And we have been able to surmount problems at many times. The ability for us, as you said, is critical reasoning, right? So as we go across, we will gradually lose some of our skills. We were, if we recall ourselves, we were hunter-gatherers. We don't hunt anymore. We've lost that skill, but we've acquired newer skills. So the ability for us is to create this ecosystem for how can we go across to keep pace with the skills that AI will move across.
So what happens to curricula as it exists? The fact is that universities like yours ultimately have to work towards what is a state or a government-imposed curricula. Given that, how do you now almost subvert the system or superimpose on the system your AI dream? You have an AI dream. You partnered with NVIDIA, which is fantastic. But what happens on the ground with students who've come through a particular school system into a college? How do you make them AI first enabled children?
Well, the first thing is, taking cognizance of the fact that, you will have to keep into what we call as accelerated learning. I think that's the first thing that every individual of tomorrow needs to know. You will have to prepare yourself to say that, what you learned yesterday may not be relevant today, or probably what you learned today may not be relevant tomorrow. So the ability, the first thing is you'll have to get drawn to the fact that you'll have to discard what you learned yesterday. Yes, the fundamentals are important, but you need to build on the fundamentals. You cannot, hold on to say that, this was the foundation that we led, and this foundation is going to help us through.
Give me a concrete example of how you think it'll change academic learning.
See, one aspect that would come across over there, probably, you could probably get down into, there are many answers to the questions that we raise, right? There's something called as straight-jacketed scientific answers. Sometimes there's a philosophical answer to all of that. Now, I can tailor-make what I would want with the help of AI. I mean, I could go across to, probably there could be doubts well within me that I would want to erase. Probably I could use the reasoning model and then probably, find an answer to what I would want. Or probably I would want a step-based learning system that I would wish to go across. The timidity that I would have is probably now lost. Now I become more bolder to probably, get down deep in and analyze myself.
Do you fear, though, that there will be this AI divide, like a digital divide, given the vast inequalities in a country like India?
Honestly, yes.
Honestly, yes.
Yes.
That's an honest answer.
Yes. I'm being very honest. I'm being very candid. And in a candid answer, yes, one of the significant challenges that we will have, I mean, you talked about job loss.
Yes.
Well, I agree with you. If you don't prepare yourself, we are going to face a serious challenge. We have to accept the fact. I mean, being a public man myself in the past, many times, we always want to paint a rosy picture. We say everything is going to be hunky-dory, we are going to have things across. But look at the situation over there when you're going to have, robotic AI. It's not too far off. The machines are being sentient. Now, you're only talking of one part of GPUs, right? What happens when you get down into quantum? And quantum is not far away. The disturbances are getting addressed. There's a big race in the quantum world. Now imagine whatever that's being done today is completely going to be, it's further going to be miniaturized. The timelines are going to change. The one aspect that probably AI cannot define is human happiness and probably human empathy and human engagement. And that's where the relevance of us to relate to human happiness, to human engagement, I think that becomes very critical. And I think that's the significant part of an education system, that we need to exist for ourselves, we need to exist for each other. I think that's the key part.
Fascinating, in fact, particularly what you said there, and I'm glad that you were candid about the challenges that lie ahead. But there are opportunities also, as you said, and we will hopefully make our children future ready for those opportunities, for setting a trend with your dream to create your campus as an AI factory, as you put it. I think it is fascinating to have you here, Dr. Sagar. Thank you so much for joining us here at the India Today AI Summit. Give him a big hand, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Rajdeep.